because you got off that street. Somebody might just hit you over the head and take your bag. You picked me up and not one of those motherfuckers, because they would have robbed your ass. And there was a crazy guy down there staring at me like this with a popsicle, eating the popsicle, and I finally just had to like look away. You know, I don't know what he's gonna do though, so Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Blaine Fuller and I'm from LA. I want to talk to you today about some tips if you might be headed over to California and things to avoid. This is my top 5 most dangerous scenarios and situations and things to avoid while you come to visit my home of Los Angeles. Number 1 is the homeless. We have an immense problem right now in California. All over, if you're in San Francisco or LA or even in Orange County, there's cities popping up where people want to live unregulated. You want to avoid these kinds of areas not only because the people are dangerous, but there's also rampant diseases. There's a resurgence of typhoid and the Black Plague actually happening in LA. And sounds like a national disaster, but for some reason we can't get it together. And the problem is getting exponentially worse every year. So the people there are mentally unstable, so frequently you don't know what to expect from them. They may be carrying a big piece of wood and then start swinging it around. You don't know what's going to happen. So if you see a guy like this, just try to stay on the other side of the road. And some of the people are drug addicts, and some drugs are okay to be taking in America, but some are not. So the drugs that are not okay to take will make you crazy. So they also will do things that are unexpected. You might find them digging on the ground, small holes in between the cracks of the sidewalk. This is a telling sign of somebody who's on methamphetamine, where they will have bloody sores on their face because they pick at themselves. That's also methamphetamine. You want to avoid this? Don't smoke any meth either. That'll make you crazy. The homeless frequently are asking for money, and it's okay to give some, but be aware that it could become a situation where you're at the park throwing breadcrumbs to the bird, and then flocks of birds are coming to you, and they will take advantage of your kindness. So be aware that you can give money, but just think about who it is you're giving it to, because those people might be spending that money on drugs. I won't normally give money to homeless people. I'll usually give them food. If somebody's hungry and I have leftovers from my dinner, or I have snacks that I'm carrying around, I'll give them out. The homeless has become such a fixture in LA that we are becoming desensitized to it. Unfortunately, we don't really treat those people too well, but it doesn't mean that you can treat them like second-class citizens. If you do find somebody in the way, sometimes you'll be going back to your car, and in the stairwell of the parking garage, there will be homeless people pissing themselves or shitting themselves, or putting a needle inside their arm to inject drugs. Just step over them and go along with your day. So a big tourist trap of LA is Hollywood Boulevard. Everybody knows and loves movies. So they go down there, and out in front of Grauman's Chinese theater, there's people who will dress up as your favorite cartoon character or superhero. They want to take a picture with you. You have to keep in mind that these people are after your money. So if you do take a picture with them, unwillingly or not, they will ask you for money afterwards. So be aware that it's not for free to be taking pictures with the people dressed in costume. There's no set amount. They will probably look at you and be like, oh, this guy's Korean, I'm gonna get him for $20. They're gonna ask based on like the way you look and what they think they can get. So, I mean, you could say no and say, here's $5 or here's $1, and they might be angry, and it's not a pleasant interaction. Like, you. That's what happens. And Hollywood Boulevard is a mess of trouble in there too. If you go far too east on Hollywood Boulevard is where there's hookers, more homeless people, and it becomes more and more dangerous the further you go east. And if you go past the freeway that goes Hollywood here, and then the freeway, the 101, if you go past the freeway, then it starts to get even more dangerous. It gets more fun if you keep going further, but just try to stay where there's more people, where you can see tourists, because you got off that street, somebody might just hit you over the head and take your bag. Well, Korean people know about tipping in America, right? Generally, it has to do with pictures. Like, you could go to a place and somebody doesn't even work there. You might be taking a picture of something and they say, okay, money for that. And they're just a nobody, but they look at you and they think, this guy's gonna give me money if I force him to. So if you take a picture of somewhere like by the Hollywood sign on the hill, somebody might try to ask for money. The subway in Los Angeles is not the same as the subway in Korea. It's not the same as the subway in New York or anywhere else in the world, really. The subway is very bad. There's not a lot of lines. There's not a lot of ways to get around. You can't rely on the subway in Los Angeles. And if you do take the subway, certain lines are dangerous. The red line that goes through Hollywood is maybe the most dangerous. This line is frequented by homeless people, crazy people. I think that it's kind of part of the experience of LA. So I think you should take the train maybe during the daytime when the sun's still out, but be aware of your belongings because on the train is a place where people are frequently robbed. But I went onto the train and there was a crazy guy down there staring at me like this with a popsicle, eating the popsicle, and I just had to like look away. I don't know what he's gonna do though, so I kind of need to keep an eye on him, make sure that he doesn't do something weird to me. I don't know, I don't want that popsicle anywhere near my face. So then finally he turns around and looks the other direction. He's wearing a backpack, and the backpack is leaking milk everywhere. Milk is everywhere. Really weird. So this kind of thing happens, and I hope something like this happens to you too. So when you get home from your trip, then you have something to talk about with all your friends at dinner back in Seoul. The next one is the hotels. The cheap hotels you need to be wary of. You need to look into the neighborhood, get acquainted with it, because if it's a good deal on a hotel, it's a good deal for a real reason. Those hotels are usually in a bad neighborhood, dangerous neighborhoods, places that maybe I've never even been to, because there are parts of LA that you just avoid, because if you go in there, they know you don't belong there, and you can be harassed or worse. I don't know what happened because I don't go in there. I've just been told all my life by my mother that I stay out of these certain areas. So if you find a good hotel, a cheap hotel, then you want to look into that and make sure that you're not staying in one of those areas. So if you accidentally book a hotel in a bad neighborhood, immediately Google how bad is that neighborhood, because if it's really bad, you want to leave immediately. Like, don't even stay at the hotel. You need to pack your things and just get out of there. But if it's moderately bad, then I would recommend taking an Uber or a Lyft from door to door. Like, don't walk another block to take a look around. Like, you want to get from the car to the front door as fast as possible, and try not to be seen too much if you're in a bad neighborhood. I recall I was actually an Uber driver at one point when I was like 24, and there was an Asian tourist. I don't remember where he was from at the time. It was many years ago now, but he had booked a hotel in a bad neighborhood. It was a motel. Motels are different than hotels in America. I don't think it's the same in Korea. I think the motel is like a love motel. We don't have those. We just have a motel, which is a cheap version of a hotel. So he booked a motel in a bad place, and I was driving him to that motel. And I felt so bad for the guy because outside was some gang members. I could see, like, I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're making a drug deal. I'm not sure, but I can tell at this point when you see gang members. They dress a certain way, they talk a certain way, they walk a certain way. And then there was a hooker in the doorway of one of the rooms, because the motel, you can see all the rooms. The doors are on the outside. So I dropped him there. I felt so bad. I was like, oh, good luck. And then stupidly, I decided to leave the Uber app on. It's like, well, let's see what happens, who I'll pick up in this bad neighborhood. It might be interesting to take a look around, because I never go to that neighborhood ever in my life. I'm driving to the area, and there's nobody on the streets, and the street lights are out, and the only car I see drive by is a police. And I'm thinking, where is everybody? I don't know what's going on here. And then I get to a house, and it's very dark, but I see there's many people there. I think that they're drinking. I can kind of hear them. A guy comes into the car. Right when he gets in, closes the door. What the hell are you doing out here, man? To me. And I thought, oh, geez. Well, he said, you're very lucky that you picked me up and not one of those motherfuckers, because they would have robbed your ass. So it's serious. It's serious. Today we talked about a couple of things to avoid situations that are very dangerous in Los Angeles. I'm Blaine, I'm from LA, so take these tips and share them, like them, and like, subscribe, follow, and enjoy.